Welcome back to the channel. Brittany Brown here, and today we are going to be talking all about managing food intolerances, managing restrictions that are in place because of health reasons, not just dietary restrictions because you want to lose weight, but things that you almost have to do because of health reasons, doing this in a way that doesn't trigger more binge eating, doesn't trigger more food focus, and how to really stay in your power when honoring your health, but also breaking free from things like binge eating and really wanting to feel in your power with your food for good. So I struggled with so many food intolerances and so many health conditions along the way. Basically, the beginning of the journey looked like a lot of fighting my body with dieting, control, restriction, and then overeating and binges, and riding this kind of on and off track roller coaster for 7-ish years. And then my body began to break down. Adrenal fatigue, hypothyroid, which is slow thyroid, hormone issues, leaky gut. I could eat, let's say, a piece of pizza and gain 5 to 10 pounds in a day from water retention. My body was constantly inflamed, and I felt like my body was breaking down and just giving out on me because of the way that I was treating it. And so I was always in this kind of struggle. I knew to transcend my binge and emotional eating that I had to give up restriction. And then I knew I needed to not eat certain things because they would cause such an inflammatory response in my body. And ultimately healing those health conditions was very, very important to me. And I was able to do this, and I'm going to show you how in this video. And I'm so excited to share this because I know so many women struggle with this. We have a lot of women who kind of know that they binge eat and know they need to let go of restriction, but their health kind of ties them to these food rules, so to speak, that they can't get away from. And so many doctors and naturopaths and healers are recommending elimination diets and things like this. So in this video, we're navigating that space. Like, what do you do if you are, if you have been a binge eater before, if maybe you're overcoming either binge eating, compulsive overeating, binge eating disorder, or just feeling out of control in general, and then how you work with your health and honor your health and body at the same time. So before I go into this too deeply, I want to do a little disclaimer. I by no means am your doctor. I do not have your blood test results. I do not know your food intolerances. I don't know your autoimmune or your health conditions or whatever that is. If you have something serious happening, if you've been told by a medical professional that you should do something, ultimately listen to the medical professional, whoever that is, right? But most importantly, listen to your own intuition. So I'm going to share what's worked for me, what's worked for thousands of others, and I want you to really listen to this from a place of what feels like what's going to honor you and your health in this moment, right? Because at the end of the day, you are the authority on you and your health, your livelihood, especially if you have something serious like an autoimmune condition or celiac where you can't have gluten. There's just some things you have to do, and I want to make sure you honor that no matter what you hear in this video. The first part of this process is getting really real with yourself, right? So let's use the example of gluten. So many women feel like they're intolerant to gluten or they're afraid of gluten, so they take all bread out of their diet and then they binge on bread or binge on things that have gluten in them. So we have to get really real. When we take things out of our diet, when we restrict, our body goes into a mode that makes us focus on those foods and want to eat them more, and often want to eat them uncontrollably. So we have to really look here. Is my overall consumption of gluten more healthier for my body, or is my overall consumption less if I eat it every now and then in moderation, or if I restrict it for 2 days and then binge on a large quantity of it? For most people, the binge, the overeating, the eating bread all day because they haven't had it all week or whatever that might be, is way more detrimental to your health, way more inflammatory than just having it here and there throughout the day. So you really want to get real. Is my restriction on this certain food causing me to eat it more and causing me to eat it in large quantities that's going to create emotional distress, or not emotional, maybe some emotional distress, but physical digestive distress in my body and inflammation. And what's interesting too about this inflammation, it's very perpetual, right? So I see a lot of women have these big overeating sessions on their forbidden foods that they're restricting, and it takes them days to get back in the swing of things, so to speak, and they ride this roller coaster where they're consuming large amounts of those foods that aren't really great for their health or their body because they've been restricting so intensely. So that takes us to the next part of the process, and that's realizing that yes, maybe you don't eat gluten, but instead of like walking through the world with this strict rule of I never have bread, the brain doesn't understand the negatives. It just thinks bread, 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 right? How about we say like I eat in ways that nourish and care for my body. And if I know that bread makes me not feel well and I want to feel well, in general, I'm choosing nourishing foods. Instead of focusing on what you can't have, you want to focus what you can have. So don't think I'm gluten-free and my life is over and I have no options and all those things, right? You can just focus on what can I have. There's some amazing grains. There are so many options out there. There are so many different things out there, right, to support you, and you want to start adding in. We always say add in versus subtract, because when you're subtracting, you focus on that food, right? And that takes us to the next little phase or step. Remembering you can stop anytime. So you can be relatively gluten-free, but then choose to eat a piece of cake, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be this strict, crazy rule. And if it is this black and white thinking, that's what causes that phenomenon that I talked about in the beginning, which is like restricting so much that when you get the cake, you want more cake, and then you feel like you blew it because you had gluten, so you're gonna keep going. We want to avoid that. So remember, you can stop at any time, and you can choose in the moment at any time. So present moment decisions are super important. And last but not least, remember, this is just a phase in your journey. So for years, for me personally, I fought my body. I did all the leaky gut and elimination diets. I did dairy-free, gluten-free, all of these things. What's amazing is I actually barely eat any of those foods now without thinking about it. I'm naturally pulled to foods that leave me feeling energized, alive, and are nourishing for my body. And also, a large portion of those health conditions have completely gone away. Hormones are balanced. I still have a little bit of hypothyroid, but that is just because that's a pretty big one to transcend, and I've come off all medication for that 75%. My adrenal fatigue is completely in remission and healing almost completely, and I have, for the most part, very good, clean energy. I don't suffer the inflammation. I don't have weight fluctuations. My body is healing itself. And what's really fascinating is my body didn't heal itself because I ate perfectly. My body healed itself because I healed my relationship with food and stopped binge and emotional eating. So remember, if you are binge and emotional eating, if you are feeling out of control with food, if you just try to control the food, that's going to make you binge and overeat more. So first things first, why don't we create a free, loving, easy relationship with your food where there's no big overeating sessions, you have things in moderation, you feel balanced, you feel good, you feel great, your body starts to restore and really take care of itself. And then at some point in your journey, when you are experiencing true freedom, maybe you do adjust things with your diet. It is right now, I could take certain things out and have no repercussions, but when I was in my struggle, taking certain things out would have had me binge for days. So it's very, very important that you remember that like food freedom is the foundation for everything. So if we could get you to a place where you're free, then in the future you can work on your health and things more. And so many women who struggle with binge and emotional eating have a lot of these health conditions because of the back and forth and the yo-yo. So who knows? Maybe by normalizing your relationship with food, you could heal a lot of these things as your body restores balance. So if you need help and guidance healing your relationship with your body and food, if you struggled with binge eating, food-focused thoughts, any of that, I have a free gift for you. And it's not just a gift, it's a video training, but I also want to invite you for a call. I don't always talk about our calls on these YouTube videos, but I think this topic is really important. It's your health, it's your life, and so many women stay stuck in binge and emotional eating because of health diagnosis. And just because you have a diagnosis or issue does not mean that you can't break free from your struggle. I would say 25 to 40% of our women have some type of food intolerance and still find freedom from binge eating. So if you're here still, if you want that clear-cut, step-by-step path to freedom, then I invite you to click the link in the description somewhere around this video. I think it's below. Myself or a certified eating psychology coach on my team will be there to support you. You can schedule a time to speak with us. On that call, we'll give you clarity. You'll learn why you binge and how to stop, and you'll get a step-by-step path out of your struggle. And if we feel like you're a good fit, we can actually talk about working together further and implementing the plan that we create for you. So before you go, check that link. No matter what, even if you don't schedule, there's an awesome free 30-minute video training that'll really support you. And then comments. Let me know what you think. Click subscribe. We're here every Tuesday, and I'd love to see you in the next vlog. So see you next time.